Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. So today I'm going through the Sonia G Sky brushes. So there were two separate collections. First one was the Sonia G Sky face set. And there are 5 face brushes in this collection. And it was, I believe, $270. And you could purchase them through Beautylish. And Beautylish ships worldwide. Double check, but I'm pretty sure, pretty much every place can get these. So right now they are out of stock, but if you go to Beautylicious website, you can sign up for notifications when they return. And they are due back, I believe, in early 2020. I want to say that Sonia G had mentioned on maybe an Instagram post at one point that she was hoping for January or maybe early February timeframe. And when these return, they will be sold as a set and hopefully also as individuals. So I know she did not confirm that it would definitely be sold as individuals, but she was hoping that they would be available as individuals at that time. So, these will be coming back hopefully after the holidays. Then just recently, the Sky Eye set was released, and that has 5 eye brushes. And they went incredibly quickly. Again, if you're interested in any of the brushes from Sonia G, Beautylish sells them. And as far as I know, that's the only place you can buy them. But they, you can sign up online to get notifications for like pre-sale and things like that. That's really the only way you're going to get them when they're first released. But when they do come back in stock, you can get those. So these will come back. I'm not sure when, but again, when these come back in stock, they should also have some individuals for sale. I wouldn't expect these until maybe like closer to next summer. So that would be my guess. And one of the differences, this Sky Eye set, I want to say it was $160 for these 5 brushes, whereas the Sonia G Pro Eye set, that was $150. And one of the differences is this handle. So the Pro series has, a red fading into black handle, whereas this one is blue fading into black. And I'm not sure how closely you can see it, but there's sparkle here in the Sky brushes. And that addition, it just has an extra cost to create that. And construction materials and building materials, they've all gone up. So that accounts for like the $10 difference between the two sets. Both of them have black ferrules, and both the Pro series and the Sky series both have more of a tapered handle, which I personally prefer. If you look at, one of the brushes, this is the Worker 2, which, is one of the brushes not from the Pro series or the Sky series. So I'm not sure if it's part of the fundamental set or if it's just one of the standalones. But they have a much thicker handle at the bottom. They are not tapered. So I personally prefer the tapered handles. I find them more comfortable to use. So I really enjoy both sets. So if you're really looking for some eye brushes right now, I do recommend the Sonia G Pro series, Pro Eye series. So let's take a look at these brushes. And then I've got a couple demos afterwards, just 2 different looks using the brushes, so you can take a look at them in action. All right, so first I want to introduce my favorite brush, and you can go on Sonia G's website or her Instagram and see she's got like exact dimensions of everything, very accurate descriptions and comparisons with other brushes. So I know she has compared them to brushes, other brushes in her series, but I think she might also have comparisons of brushes from other brands, like maybe like Chikuhodo and things like that. So her website, she's like Sweet Makeup Temptations. So I'll put that information in the description box. So anyway, this is from the face collection. This is the Master Face brush. And this is my favorite face brush that I own, hands down, out of any of the brushes that I have. And honestly, most of my brushes are Sonia G because I've tried like, 1 or 2 here and there from other brands. And I really feel like her brushes give you a very high quality at a pretty fair price point. So I really, really love Sonia G brushes. The shapes really work well for me. They're very soft. They use goat hair, and from my understanding, the goats are brushed. They're not harmed in any way. There are some videos that you can see on YouTube that kind of go through the process of, how they get the hair for these brushes. So overall, though, I feel like her brushes just have a very high quality at a fair price point compared to some other brands. And, I really like them. So the majority of my brushes are Sonia G brushes. So this is my favorite base brush. I use this mostly for finishing powders, but there are other occasions that I've used it for various things. You can see that it is a pretty large brush, but it's also very dense. And because these bristles are a little bit, shorter than, some other, I don't really have too many face brushes on hand right here. But like, for example, this is a Real Techniques brush. You can see that it's definitely a little bit shorter than that one. And, it's got a nice dome shape. It's dense. It's super soft. And I believe this one was a mix of dyed and undyed goat hair. And you can kind of see the difference in colors here. So I love this. For me, it's a perfect face brush. And I really like some that are more dense and not super floppy. So this, I just think is perfect. The next brush in the series, that would be the Worker Fan brush. And I am not a huge fan, didn't mean to do a pun there, but I'm not a huge fan of fan brushes overall. However, I do like Sonia G's because they are wider, or rather thicker. So, for instance, this is the Sculpt 1 brush, which is like the thickest fan brush I've ever seen. But a lot of fan brushes from other brands, they are a lot thinner here and, a little bit floppier. And, they have a purpose. I like them for, certain applications. As a matter of fact, this is the Sculpt 3 from Sonia G. This is a thin one, but this one is still thicker than a lot from other brands. So for me, something like this, I use a lot for highlighters. But these thicker ones, I just find them more multi-purpose. So this one is really good for contouring. I don't contour or use bronzer too often, which is why this is not a brush that I use that frequently. But when I do, this is a brush that I prefer for that because I just think it's got a good width here to get kind of right there under my cheekbone. And it's pretty versatile. So you can use either the tips, you can use the side, depending which way you want to turn it. There are a lot of applications. I will occasionally also use this for highlighter because if you look at this brush head, it's a little hard to see, but it's kind of actually a domed top. So if I get a light application of highlighter just on the tips right here, and I don't, get the lower parts here, I can get a line of highlighter going across my cheek, and then I turn it and kind of diffuse that in. So for a highlighter that, is a little bit dark, or, I really want to diffuse some of that sparkle, this is something that I will use for that. So it works well for that, in my opinion. All right, and then there are 2 cheek brushes. I apologize, I use this in I use this in both of the looks. I haven't gotten a chance to wash this one yet. But this is the classic cheek brush. And this is my favorite of the blush brushes that were included. There are 2 of them. This one, and then this is the soft cheek. So the difference between the 2 of these is the classic cheek has undyed goat hair. It's also a bit shorter. So you can see the bristles are shorter. It's also a little bit more dense. So they do have a similar shape, although the soft cheek is a little bit more tapered looking to me. And because it's, a little bit, you can see that this one here obviously has a thicker ferrule, and it's actually an oval, okay, whereas this one is round. These longer bristles, it's just a little bit of a floppier feeling, which makes this brush really, really great for pigmented blushes. You know, if you don't want to use a heavy hand, you can definitely get some, you know, blush on here, and it really helps diffuse that color and kind of give you a more natural look if your blush is super pigmented. Whereas this classic cheek, it's a little bit thicker, more dense, and a little bit firmer. So it's really good for those blushes that aren't quite as strongly pigmented. It's also really good for cream products because it is undyed goat hair, so you can use it with liquids and creams. And so overall, you know, for me, this is one that I probably reach for more because the blushes I tend to favor are usually not the ones that are super intensely pigmented. But when I do use a more pigmented blush, I reach for this one quite a bit, or anything that I really want to use like a lighter hand with. So I like both of these. I do reach for this one a bit more. Then the last face brush is this mini cheek. So you can see it's like the baby sister of the blush brushes. And this is actually really good for contouring. It's also really good for highlighter, or I sometimes use it to set, you know, my under eyes. And I personally, though, usually use it for highlighting. So that's my typical purpose for this. But it's really good to get into those little areas and so forth. So this is the mini cheek. And again, just like the Master Face, it's a mix of the dyed and undyed goat hair. So let's move on to the Sky Eye series. And the first one here is the Jumbo Blender brush. And I really, really like this brush. So if you look at this up closely, you can see that it is a little bit curved here. It's not completely, you know, even on both sides. It's a little bit slanted. And it is pretty thick. So this would be kind of like the flat side. And then if I turn it, I mean, you can see how thick and dense that is. And let's see here, let me compare that to, this is the Worker 2 from Sonia G. So you can see in size, they're pretty similar, but the Jumbo Blender is going to be thicker. Again, it's got that slanted edge to it. And one of the things that I really like this for, I use this either for, I use the flatter side either for like a one and done color, or I really like to use this to kind of like no shadow, just kind of blending out edges of things. And because it has kind of that slanted edge, it makes it really versatile because you can still use that tip to kind of like apply things in a small area and then blend them out and so forth. So I really enjoy this brush a lot, and I find it very versatile. All right, then this is the Soft Shader. This, again, since it's undyed goat hair, you can use it with creams, liquids, powders. So it's a real workhorse. All right, well, here is the Builder Pro from Sonia G. You can see that they have a very similar shape. However, the Soft Shader is going to be thicker. Okay, and it's a little bit bigger overall. Okay, so it's really good at laying down color. It's a good workhorse brush. Okay, so this is the classic crease brush in the Sky series. And you can see that this crease brush, okay, I'm comparing it here to the Blender Pro, which is this one, and then the Crease Pro, which has the undyed goat hair. So I'll put the Sky brush in the middle here. You can see that the shape of the classic crease is very similar to the Blender Pro shape, but it's a little bit smaller. And you can see overall, they're kind of very, very similar. They both kind of have the same dome shape here. However, the Blender Pro is just a little bit, bigger overall. And then if you compare it to the Crease Pro, you can see the Crease Pro has a much more tapered end, and it's basically the big difference is going to be the shape. This one is a little bit more tapered. It's a little bit it's a little bit tighter. Okay, so a little bit more dense. with this classic crease, I really enjoy using this in the crease, and because it has, a similar shape to this Blender Pro, I also quite often use it as a blending brush as well. It works really well for that as well. All right, and then the next brush I'd like to mention is the Mini Booster. And this is basically the baby sister to the classic crease. You can see it's just kind of a smaller version of that. So you can see, let's put those together. It's just slightly smaller. And this brush works great for, if you've got like a small detail you want to work with or working in the V. Okay, so anytime I have a dark color that I'd like to add to a small area, I reach for this. I also really like using this in my outer corners overall. The last brush is the Flat Definer. And basically this is like a flattened pencil brush. So it has this, flat side, but it still has kind of like the top up here that's, it's a little bit of a dome shape, but it's flat at the very top so that, it works really well for lining your eyes. And I use the flattened portion to kind of get into the inner corner or small spaces. So I think it's really great. And one of the things I want to mention about the Sky Eye brushes in general, these are all basically multi-purpose brushes. So the shapes I think are really well thought out, and they just all have, instead of just having one particular thing that they're best at, they all work in a variety of ways. So, I just think that they are just totally well designed and well thought out. It's my favorite eye series. I love the Pro Eye series as well, and honestly, I wouldn't want to be without either of them. But I think, with smaller eyes, or working with smaller lid space, these are definitely a little bit more superior than the Pro series for that. But again, really I would want to have both sets. So overall, let me just go through and give you guys my final thoughts. So the Sonia J Sky face set. Okay, when they come out with individuals, I do plan on purchasing at least one more of the Master Face Brush because I do use it every single day. And I usually wash my brushes pretty much after each use with the face brush, or, something I'm going to use the same with every day. I don't. So I'll wash this like every few weeks. But, I like to give it about 48 hours to dry just to be on the safe side. I know you don't need to wait that long, but I like to just be double sure. I really don't want to get any water in there and mess this up. It is my favorite brush. So during those 48 hours when I leave it to dry, I'm like, having a hard time finding something else that I enjoy to use as much as this. So I'll definitely be purchasing a backup of this. It's my favorite face brush of any face brush. And then other standouts to me, I really like this classic cheek brush. I just love the density of it. I love that it's undyed, so you can use it with a variety of mediums. And for me, it's just a really good size for my face. So I really love this. If you already have a lot of blush brushes that you enjoy, I do also really recommend this mini cheek brush just because the smaller size makes it pretty unique. You've got a lot of versatility with this. So, I really love all of these brushes, but if you didn't want to buy all of them, those would be my recommendations from the face series. From the eye series, I don't think I can narrow it down. Honestly, I feel like you kind of need the whole set. I don't know what my favorite brush would be. I guess that's not true. I think the Mini Booster is probably the most unique just because it is, kind of like a very small crease brush, which I really haven't seen anywhere else. So it's very different from any other brush in my collection. So this would probably be my number one. But I really feel like the whole set is just absolutely fantastic. I love this. I reach for it all the time. And yeah, I have nothing bad to say about these brushes at all. They are absolutely fantastic. So I definitely recommend these. Okay, so this is the Sonia G Pro Eye Series, and you can see that the brushes, do have, they're just very complementary to each other. So this is really more of a classic traditional set, in my opinion, the Pro Series. And I love all of them. I use all of them. And I think actually my favorite from this one, just because of its size, I really love this Builder Pro. So yeah, the Builder Pro is probably my most reached for from this set. But honestly, I use all of them all the time. The Worker Pro is fantastic. I use the Blender Pro. I use all of them, every single one of them. And honestly, I wash all of my eye brushes after every use, just, because it's so easy to, get any sort of contamination or anything. And I really don't like, just when you wipe off the color off the brushes, sometimes there's still a little residue. So I always like to start my eye brushes clean with each use. So because of that, basically I alternate between these brushes while they're drying. So I leave 24 hours to dry in between. So overall, I highly recommend both of these sets. If you guys are interested, I have other brushes. I will do some more reviews on some of the other brushes that I have. And let me know if you guys are interested in seeing how I clean the brushes or anything like that. And I'd be happy to do a video on that. So overall, those are my thoughts on the Sky series. I definitely can't wait till they come back out. And again, just to reiterate, I believe that the the Sonia G Sky Face set will be back probably, I'd say, end of January, beginning of February would be my guess. And I believe they will have individuals for sale. I don't think the Sky Eye series will be back until summer sometime. That would be my guess. I have not seen any word on dates for the Eye series. Actually, there haven't been dates for either of them, but I haven't even seen an estimated time frame for the Eye series. So that's totally just a wild guess from me. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to narrow these down. So that's my opinion. And thanks so much for joining me. And stay tuned if you are interested in seeing the brushes in action. I'll be using them throughout the two looks. The only one I don't get to use is the soft cheek. I ended up using the classic cheek for both blushes, just because both of them were lighter blushes that I kind of liked to build up. So I just never got around to using this one. But again, this one works great for more pigmented blushes or anytime you really want to diffuse something out, because it is a little bit, floppier because of the longer bristles. So thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Right now I have on the By Terry Brightening CC Serum in White Rose, followed by the Guerlain L'Essentiel Foundation in 00N. And then I used the Sisley Stila Lumiere under my eyes and the Tom Ford Brow Gel. So we're going to get started on blush. And I'm going to use the Patrick Ta Monochrome Moment blush in She's Sincere. And this is it's more of a firm blush. So out of the Sky set, there are two blush brushes. So this is the classic cheek, and this is the soft cheek. This one you can see it's got longer bristles, it's a little bit floppier, whereas this one is shorter and denser. It's better for a firmer blush. So this is going to be the one that I'll be using today. So I'm just going to get some on my brush, hop it on. So with this, I like to tap it onto my cheeks first to put down the color. And then I do an upward sweeping motion. And then I make sure at the end I move my fingers down to the tip and just kind of do a swirling lighter motion to diffuse any edges. Okay, so that just gives me a light flush of color. I like these blushes because they are so easy to build, and you don't have to really worry about getting too much because they are, lighter in pigmentation. All right, so I find them easy to work with because of that. So that's it for the blush, and then I'm going to actually apply, I didn't apply any setting powder under my eyes, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit of the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. And with this, I often use this. This is the Sonia G Mini Cheek Brush. So I either use this for under eye setting powder or highlighter. So today I'm going to use it for under eye. So I'm just giving a tiny, tiny bit on my brush. You can't even really see it. I'm just gonna, I'm kind of tapping and then sweeping. Okay, and then to follow that up, I'm going to use the Guerlain Meteorites in Golden Land. And for this, I'm using, this is my favorite brush of the face collection. This is the Master Face Brush, and I just love the density of this and the rounded shape of it, and I find it absolutely perfect for powders. I love it. All right, so I use this brush every day. So now we're going to go in and we're going to use some highlighter. I'm going to use the Chantecaille Eclat Brillant. So this one. And for this one, I'm actually going to go in, let's use the Sonia G Worker Fan. Now this is pretty thick and dense. I don't want that much. So I'm just going to get a tiny bit on the tip of my bristles. I'm not sure if you can see it right there. And I'm going to sweep that on. So the fan brush works well because you can lay it on like this and then kind of spread it out a little. So I think being able to use the fan brush here kind of diffuses the color a little bit, which for this blush for me, I like a light application of this one because it is more gold. Okay, so I think that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to use the Tom Ford, this is a holiday collection eyeshadow in Soleil Lune. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down a wash of color using the soft shader, which is this. Okay, so I'm going to use this champagne color right up here. I'm going all the way up to the brow bone, but I'm starting at the lid so the color is concentrated down here and I just have a trace of it going up. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with the crease brush. This is the classic crease. All right, and we're going to go in with the copper color here. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit more down here to the outer half of my eyelid. All right, next I'm going to go in with the mini booster, and this is like a mini crease brush, and I'm going to go into this gray shade here and do the outer V. I'm actually going to go back in with the soft shader. I'm going to use the side I didn't use the champagne on after I Just going to wipe it off to be on the safe side. I'm going into the green color, and I'm going to kind of tap that on in the center and inner portion of my lid. So next I'm going to go in with the flat definer, and this is the flattened pencil brush. And I'm going to use the flat side in the champagne color to add some of that to the inner corner here. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the gray color on the tip and line my upper lashes with it. Okay, I'm going to do my lower lashes as well, but just a light hand on there, and then I'm also going to use a little green under. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the green. I'm starting from the inside going out. Okay, so now this is the Jumbo Blender brush. And you can see that it kind of looks like a shader brush, but it's much thicker and denser. So I really like to use this either for like a one and done application or just to clean up the edges, which is what I'm going to use it for now. All right, so I'm just going to curl my lashes and apply a little mascara, and I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, so I'm back. I'm going to apply my lipstick with you. I'm going to use the Pat McGrath Luxe Trans Lipstick in Realness. So it's kind of like a light rosewood. And I'm just doing a light application of that. And you can see on me, it's a little bit more of an orangey rosewood. So I usually like to apply something on top of it. I like adding something a little bit cooler. I really like adding the Pat McGrath Noir lip balm on top. But today I'm going to add the Chantecaille lip crystal in rose quartz. So we're going to start by kind of tapping that on. And that's just going to give me a light sparkle. And I want to add just a little bit more sparkle, so I'm going to blot this. Okay, and just add it again. So I've been using this lipstick a lot as a topper, and sometimes I just put it in the middle and, you know, just kind of rub my lips together to get like a light coating of sparkle. But today I'm actually going to it's a little holiday party sort of, but it's just with my nieces and nephews. So it's like a little kid holiday party. So I wanted to have a little bit more sparkle today. And yeah, that's everything for this look. Okay, so for this look today, we are going to use the Sonia G Classic Cheek Brush, which is the one with the undyed goat hair. And I'm going to use the Chanel Tweed Pink Blush. Okay, so right now I just have down the by Terry Brightening CC Serum in White Rose and my Guerlain foundation, the Guerlain Essential. So that's it, nothing else. So I'm going to use the Classic Cheek. This is a bit of a firmer brush, and it works really well for cream blushes as well. But I like it for any blush that is not super pigmented. And this blush is pretty light, so I think it works well to get the color on. Just add a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to go in with the Master Face brush. So I'm going to use the Guerlain Meteorites in Golden Land. And I'm just going to swirl my brush over them and apply it. And I just really like the soft glow that you get from these. And this particular color gives a bit of a rosy glow. All right, so there's that. All right, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of a highlighter. In the other look, I had used this fan brush, the worker fan, and I don't typically use this one for highlighter because it is thicker, but I think if you've got a highlighter you'd like to diffuse a lot, I think this one works really well for that. If you have something where you're not really trying to diffuse it very much, then I think a smaller brush works better, and I really like this mini cheek brush for that. So I'm going to use the Chanel Duo de Camellias, and I'm going to go right down the center and get a little bit of the silver and the gold. Okay. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the eyes. So I'm going to use the Pat McGrath. This is the Shadow Quad in, what is this one called? This is the one in the blue box. Blitz Astral Quad in the Nocturnal Nirvana. So I'm going to use this one with the eye brushes. So I'm going to start off actually with the gold, and let me get the names for this. That is the Incandescent Gold 003. And I'm going to go in to the crease area using the classic crease brush. So I'm just going to get a little bit here and just add some here. I'm going a little bit up onto the brow bone. These shadows are really soft, so you really don't need to touch them much to get any of this up. So I'm going to go in next with the soft shader brush. All right, so I'm going to go in actually with the blue color, which is Blitz Aquamarine. And I'm going to lay this down over my lid. And I'm not using any primer or anything today, but if I were to go out, to like a party or something, and I wanted to make sure that I definitely didn't have any fallout, or, I had a really long day and I was going to be wearing this for, more than like 6 or 7 hours, then I would definitely put some primer or some sort of glitter glue or something on, just to make sure, since these shades are pretty sparkly, that you don't get any fallout. And I haven't really gotten any from the shadows yet, but I do know from experience that throughout the day, sometimes I do get a little bit of sparkle from the shadows that fall if I don't use something. All right, so I'm going to wipe off the excess for that. And I'm actually going to go into this purple shade, which is called Blitz Purple. And I'm using the Sonia G Mini Booster. And I'm going to do the V area. So I'm dragging the excess into the crease and kind of mixing that with the gold. Okay, so that's good for that. Now we're going to move into my favorite color. This one here, this green, it's actually, I'm not sure if you can see, but it's actually more of a duochrome. It's got a purple and a green shift to it. So this is VR emerald. And I'm going to go back in with the soft shader here. And I'm going to place this down in the center. So I'm making sure to overlap both the purple from the V and the blue. So next I'm going to go in with the flat definer. I'm going back in with the gold shade, and I'm using the flat side to get a little gold here. I'm going to go into the inner corner, just kind of blend that in with the blue that was there. Now I'm going to use the flat definer in the purple, and I'm using the tip this time. I'm going to use this to line my lashes. I'm just going to go back in with the mini booster in the purple. I'm just going to redo that V a little just to make sure that's emphasized. Okay. And back in with the flat definer on the tip, I'm using the blue, and I'm going to go in from the inside, going out. I'm just overlapping the purple here. So now I'm going to go in with the jumbo blender, and I'm going to just kind of blend these edges a little bit. All right, and I'm just going to take the tip of this brush, and I'm just going to get a tiny bit of gold on the tip and add that back into the crease. All right, so that's it for this look then. I'll be right back. I'm going to finish up. I'm going to do my brows and my mascara, and then I'll be back in a second. Thanks. Okay, so I am back, and I just added some mascara and the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel, and this is my final eye look. And right now I have on the Pat McGrath Luxe Trans Lipstick in Realness. I'm going to add the Chantecaille Rose Quartz on top, just kind of in the middle, just to give a little bit of a sparkle. Actually, I think I'm going to dab that all over. That was it for this look. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I can't wait to see you again in my next video. Thanks. Have a great day.